Be honest with yourself for the next 7 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Because this video is different from the ones that just tell you you're wonderful and everyone else is the problem. There's a person who can end a relationship like flipping a switch. One boundary crossed, one disappointment, one wrong move, and they're gone. Blocked. Done. No conversation, no second chance, no looking back. And they'll tell you, with total conviction, that this is strength. That they simply don't tolerate disrespect. That they know their worth. And sometimes, that's exactly true. But sometimes it's something else entirely, wearing the costume of self-respect. And today we're going to figure out, honestly, which one you are. Because I think part of you has been wondering. Let's start with why cutting people off feels so good. Because it does, and pretending it doesn't is where most of these videos lie to you. When you cut someone off, you get an instant, powerful hit of control. For one clean moment, you hold all the power. You're not the one waiting to be chosen, or hoping to be treated better, or sitting in the awful uncertainty of a relationship that might hurt you. You ended it. You decided. And that decisiveness feels like safety, like you finally can't be hurt, because you struck first. That rush is real, and it's addictive, and it's the reason this can quietly become a pattern instead of a rare, considered choice. But here's the question that separates the healthy version from the wound, and I want you to actually answer it. How much does it hurt when you cut someone off? Because the person doing this from genuine strength, it costs them something. They feel the loss. They grieve the relationship even as they end it, because they cared, and ending it was a painful last resort after real attempts to fix it. The pain is proof the bond was real to them. But the person doing this from a wound, they feel almost nothing. A cold, clean click, and it's over, and they've already moved on by dinner, and they're proud of that numbness. They wear it like armor. Look how unbothered I am. Look how easily I let people go. But that's not strength. That's dissociation. That's a nervous system that learned, a long time ago, to kill its own feelings before they could be used against it. If you can end a relationship that once mattered and feel nothing at all, that's not evidence you're strong. That's evidence you're protecting yourself from something that hurt you badly enough that you decided never to feel it again. So let's go find where this comes from. Stay with me, because this is the part that explains everything. People who cut others off easily almost always learned, early, that relationships are unsafe and unstable. Maybe love in their childhood was conditional. Here one moment, withdrawn the next, depending on moods they couldn't predict or control. Maybe they were abandoned, literally or emotionally, by someone who was supposed to stay. Maybe they watched relationships around them explode without warning. And a child living in that kind of unpredictability learns a survival strategy that is actually, in its original context, brilliant. Leave before you get left. Cut them off before they can cut you. Because if you're the one who ends it, you're never the one who gets abandoned. If you leave first, you stay in control. If you never let the loss happen to you, it can't destroy you. That child built a shield, and the shield worked, and it kept them safe through something they shouldn't have had to survive. The problem is, they're not that child anymore, but the shield is still up. And now it's not protecting them from unpredictable, dangerous people. It's cutting down good ones. People who made an ordinary human mistake, people who could have grown, people who would have stayed. Because when your default response to any conflict is end it, you never give a relationship the chance to survive a hard moment. And every relationship that's ever mattered had to survive hard moments. That's what makes them deep. The people who cut off easily rob themselves of depth, over and over, and call it standards. Now stop, because I have to be fair, and this is the knife's edge of the whole topic. I am not telling you to tolerate people who hurt you. Some relationships genuinely need to end, and some people genuinely do not deserve access to you. Abuse, manipulation, patterns of real harm. Cutting those people off isn't a wound. It's wisdom, it's survival, and you should never let anyone guilt you back into a relationship that was destroying you. That's real, and I mean it completely. The wound isn't ending bad relationships. The wound is ending good ones, or savable ones, with the same cold reflex, because you never learned the difference between this person is dangerous and this person is human and disappointed me. Those two things feel identical to a nervous system built in an unpredictable childhood, but they are not the same, and your whole emotional future depends on learning to tell them apart. So how do you tell? Here's the test, and it's uncomfortable. Before you cut someone off, ask yourself one question. Am I ending this because they're genuinely harmful, or because they got close enough to hurt me, and hurting me proved I was right not to trust anyone? Because the wounded version doesn't actually cut people off for crossing boundaries. It cuts them off for getting close. The closeness is the threat. The boundary crossing is just the excuse the shield was waiting for. And if you're honest, you might notice that the people you cut off fastest weren't the ones who hurt you most. They were the ones you'd started to need most. That's the pattern worth staring at. You don't run from the people who mean nothing. You run from the ones who started to mean something, because meaning something is exactly what feels dangerous. So what do you do with all this, if it's landing a little too hard right now? You don't swing to the other extreme and start tolerating everything. That's just a different wound. What you do is introduce one thing your reflex has never allowed: a pause. The next time you feel that familiar urge to end it, to block, to disappear, stop, and give it 48 hours. Don't act from the panic. In that window, ask yourself the honest question: is this person harmful or just human? Did they attack me? Or did they simply fail me the way every person eventually fails everyone? Sometimes the answer will still be cut them off, and you'll do it, and you'll be right. But sometimes, more than you'd expect, you'll realize you were about to burn down something good to avoid feeling something scary. And catching even a few of those will change the entire shape of your life. Because here's what I most want you to hear. The goal was never to keep everyone. Some people should be let go. But the goal was also never to be someone who's alone at 50, surrounded by the wreckage of every bond that ever asked you to be brave, telling yourself it was all their fault, all of them, every single one. At some point, if everyone keeps turning out to be the problem, the pattern is the person holding the scissors. You learned to leave before you got left, and back then, that saved you. But you're safe now, and staying, through the hard, awkward, disappointing human parts, is a different kind of strength than leaving. It's the harder kind, and it's the only kind that ever gets you close to anyone. So tell me honestly in the comments, when you cut someone off, does it hurt or do you feel nothing? Don't perform the answer, just tell the truth. Because that one answer tells you almost everything about whether your scissors are protecting you or slowly leaving you alone.